This is Britton Manasco, and I'm at the Content Marketing World Conference, first annual, first ever, and great show. And I'm here with Robert Rose, who is the lead strategist for the Content Marketing Institute.
Correct.
And we're going to talk about some ideas in his new book, which is Managing Content Marketing, which he co-wrote with his fellow author, Joe Pulizzi. And together they've put on this great conference. So the first question I want to just look at is, tell me a little bit about companies engaged in a complex sale, why they're taking greater interest in investing in thought leadership and content marketing strategies. What are you seeing out there in your work?
Certainly from a B2B perspective, this has become a huge trend. And I think the main reason for it is whether it is you're trying to build an evangelistic customer base or whether you're trying to move prospects through a funnel, the typical advertising methods just aren't working anymore. So we're building awareness, right? We're using advertising and marketing and traditional techniques to build awareness. But then what we typically do is we go right to the buy. And especially in B2B, this is problematic because we're asking prospects to be nurtured through a lead funnel process, and we all have them in B2B marketing.
Right.
But we're asking them to make too big a leap. So what content does is that it helps us to move prospects through the funnel in a much more seamless way. So we can help those sales guys really move things in a much more efficient way so that they're actually moving a lead from something that's they're just aware of the solution to where now they're engaged, and they're engaged with the story that the brand or the product is trying to tell. And then once they're engaged, they're actually helped. We can help them buy the product. We can help them become educated about how to use the product. We can help them really move to the next, which is I'm a qualified opportunity, and then once I'm a qualified opportunity, I'm now a customer. And so content is really helping those customers move through that buying cycle much more efficiently. So I'm seeing B2B businesses of all sizes really create a much more efficient sales funnel using content marketing strategies than ever before.
Right. And so one of the challenges they have up front is justifying it and building a business case for these kind of efforts. And that's one of the key efforts in terms of getting the executive team committed to it and the organization in general. So I'm curious what you're finding in terms of what's necessary in order to do that effectively.
Yeah. I think one of the biggest challenges is that immediately the question is asked, and it's the wrong question, is what's the ROI, right? Mm-hmm. So people will immediately jump to what's the ROI of this? And ROI is a goal. It's not a business case.
Right.
And a business case needs to be built, certainly, for anything that we're doing in marketing. And a business case is different than ROI. So the business case needs to follow traditional business planning, right? We want to understand the opportunity. We want to understand what we're going to be doing with that opportunity, what the potential benefits of that opportunity are, what the risks are if we don't do it and if we do it. And ultimately, that's the business case. And so whether it's assigning a goal of we want to convert 20% more leads through this process, we want to make the sales funnel more efficient, we want to retain 25% more customers, we want to reduce the number of customer service phone calls. Those are all goals, right? Those are all ROI goals that we would assign a business case to.
Right.
So then building that business case is really how would we build a process in our organization to actually support that goal, and using content to do that. So we're going to build a blog, or we're going to build a social media program, or we're going to do all of those things. Mm-hmm. And so understanding what the right question is before we start trying to answer, because we immediately want to assign an ROI to a problem, right? And without actually understanding what the problem is first.
Right. One distinction I see out there in a lot of this discussion about content marketing is there is some distinction between B2B, B2C, a complex sale versus a more impulse purchase. It brings up different considerations. And since we're really focused on the complex sale, I'm wondering if you see any special considerations with regard to how these type of efforts need to go about enabling the sales force and the business developers and so forth, so that there isn't a disconnect, so that there is alignment in these efforts, so that the conversations that are happening out in the field are consistent with the ones that are being provoked
Yeah.
through these initiatives.
Yeah.
Any thoughts on that based on your experience?
Sure, absolutely, yes. So sales guys tend to think of things in their own way, right? So big surprise, B2B sales guys tend to have their own little worlds that they live in and don't deviate much from it. But guess what? The customer doesn't care about that sales cycle. They don't care that I'm a lead. They don't care that I'm an opportunity. They don't care I'm qualified. They have a buying cycle that they're going through that's completely unique.
Right.
Based on their process. And so what I typically find in a B2B situation specifically is that if we start to align those processes, we really understand the consumer, the buying process that they're going through and align that with our sales cycle, we can have a much more effective, because shock, right? The marketing and sales teams at B2B companies don't often get along, right?
Right.
So,
Right.
I mean, big shock, right? There's gambling going on in the casino. And one of the biggest challenges is aligning those processes so that marketing can have that good alignment with the sales process.
Right.
And so if we start directing our content much more toward the consumer's buying process, so that we understand what's resonating with that consumer as they're coming through that process, and then we align that with lead, opportunity, et cetera, for the complex sale, we start equipping the sales guys with much more powerful weapons. So what I typically find happening is that in a B2B situation, especially for a company that's just starting a content marketing process, they'll have lots of content at the top of the funnel, lots of awareness, education, that type of content.
Right.
And they have lots of content at the bottom of the funnel, testimonials, case studies, et cetera, et cetera. Where they really lack content is in that messy middle, where the sales guy is trying to really move him through a process in that complex consultative sale. And that's really where content marketing can have a huge impact, because if we start equipping with sales guys with powerful content, messages, and stories that really equip those sales guys with the ability to move them more seamlessly and fluidly through the funnel, then we've really scored a home run. And that's where B2B especially can have, with content marketing, can have a huge impact, because now we're giving the sales guys something that they can really work with.
Well, nicely said. Thank you, Robert. Appreciate this chance.
My pleasure, absolutely.